Welcome to Living Well with MS Coffee Break, a part of the Living Well with MS podcast family from Overcoming MS, the world's leading multiple sclerosis healthy lifestyle charity, celebrating its 10th year of serving the MS community. I'm your host, Jeff Alex. Today, you'll meet someone living with MS from our diverse and global Overcoming MS community. Our Coffee Break series invites you into the lives of each guest. They share their personal MS journeys and speak openly about their challenges and victories, large and small. We hope you find some common cause and a source of inspiration from the stories of these very special people. You can check out our show notes for more information and useful links. You can find these on our website at overcomingms.org/podcast. If you enjoy the show, please spread the word about us on your social media channels or leave a review wherever you tune into our podcast. Finally, don't forget to subscribe to Living Well with MS on your favourite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. So, get your favourite beverage ready and let's meet today's guest on Living Well with MS Coffee Break. Welcome to Living Well with MS Coffee Break number 29, where we are pleased to welcome Linda Boueke as our guest. As always, your comments and suggestions are welcome by emailing podcast@overcomingms.org. We hope you enjoy this episode's conversation with Linda from Hamburg, Germany. Linda was diagnosed with relapsing remitting MS in 2014. She immediately changed her diet, and after attending an OMS seminar in 2016, she started to adopt the OMS program completely. Since 2017, she has served as an ambassador for the OMS circle in Hamburg, and she sometimes holds seminars in Germany to help inform others about OMS. In 2019, she has started a second career as a solo singer and performer. Following her dreams has become easier because OMS has helped her regain strength and focus, so she is incredibly thankful to have found OMS so early. So Linda, welcome to Living Well with MS Coffee Break. We're very pleased to have you on our programme, and just to explain, the purpose of this series is to get a better understanding of the members of the OMS community from around the world. And today you're in the hot seat. So could you tell us a bit about your day-to-day life?
Well, thank you, Jeff, for having me. And yes, I'm honored to be guest of your show today. About my day-to-day life, I've spent many years at home raising 4 boys and after working in marketing for a time, but then I got my diagnosis and I struggled to find some new balance, really, because obviously sort of a midlife crisis was culminating with the empty nest syndrome and with the diagnosis. And what happened was I had to walk a long way of reflecting and orientation, what I wish for in my life now, and putting myself first after many years to remain as independent and healthy as possible for myself. Yeah.
And was it an easy diagnosis? Was it obvious you had MS, and did the doctors diagnose you quickly?
Well, it was a bit tricky, really. I had, in 2010, I had swine flu, which is a virus which happened to be here in Germany. And I had stomach problems and fatigue. I even had to have a household help for some time because I couldn't cope. And I had many lesions in my brain, really, and took lots of tests, but I didn't get the diagnosis then. I had speech problems and couldn't write on the keyboard properly. And still the neurologist said it could be different things and sent me home like that. And in 2014, I had another relapse probably with the Hermit syndrome, which is tingling in the body, probably known to our audience. And I got the diagnosis from the radiologist, really. It was quite a shock because he said, well, what else should it be if not MS? What you're thinking? And well, then I tried to find a way to cope with that. And I had the immediate feeling I had to do something about that myself, and got the impression this illness picked the wrong person to surrender to some future of doom, really. And I got a feeling like Hermione, in Harry Potter, she always goes to the library when there occurs a problem in your life. So I turned to reading lots and lots of things and find out all I could, because I didn't want to be outwitted by others, and let alone doctors to tell me what I had to do, and wanted to become an expert for this condition to be able to make the right choices for myself.
And so when did you come across the OMS program?
Actually, I took a little detour. I first found Sven Böttcher, who's a journalist in Germany who has MS as well, and he wrote a book which I had read in the spring of that year. And on the back side of the book, there was a message like he has MS and now he's getting along fine with it. And I wrote emails with him. So I tried to find out what he had done and what he had found out, and he was very helpful and sent me his sort of script. And later on, I bought his book as well, and there were many hints to OMS, because he has many sort of similarities to OMS in his approach. And 6 weeks after my diagnosis, I read the OMS book, obviously. And I changed lots of things. I like the approach, to do whatever it takes to stop the progression. And still I struggled, because the quality of life you think you have in your life, you have to sort of find a way to optimize your quality of life, even though you will change your diet and you do a lot for your health. You know that.
And are you in an area of Germany where there's very much dairy consumption? And I mean, I honestly, I haven't been to Hamburg. I've been to Munich. I've been to Berlin, but it does seem to be, the German diet does seem to be quite heavily meat-based, dairy-based. Is that the case where you are? Was it difficult to make a transition for the diet?
Yes, definitely. I had some help for my stomach, really, because in that year I had so many stomach problems that I had already almost stopped dairy in the summer before the diagnosis came. And I realized it was better for my stomach problems, because it was really like a chronic inflammation of the stomach at the time. And so I had already decided to cut out dairy a lot. And it took me, it was really hard in the beginning, I think. And I think the main problem is you never know individually which sort of measures lead to which outcome, and you cannot know for sure if the lifestyle or medication choices you make are definitely the cause for your well-being or for possible relapses. And it's a marathon, and so you have to sort of jump on the train or not someday to decide if you are going with the lifestyle choices or not. And you can never be sure if it's this measure or that measure.
It's like medications. If there was one medication that we could take and it would cure us, and everyone took it and it would be fine. But there's so many, because they affect different people in different ways, and it's a very varied condition, isn't it?
I had read something about happiness from a German author, and he talked about 7 areas which can lead to more happiness or not. And I realized eating is not one of them. So that was sort of a relaxing moment, because I thought, well, if that's what studies say, eating is not part of it, then it's only really family and friends, which is a part of being happy, which makes it so difficult, because you have to sort of, communicate with your family, with your friends when you change eating that much. And that's what's really hard in the beginning, but it's not eating itself that's causing so much trouble for your happiness.
So going for a meal can make you happy, but the actual eating part it's the social part rather than the eating the food. Yeah.
And what I found out is that I can be very happy with this diet, and I wouldn't change it back, really, even if they got a pill against MS now, because I'm so happy with my new lifestyle at the time that really the struggle was changing it, not
So was that the biggest challenge you had in adopting OMS, or were there other parts of the program that were difficult to adopt?
Yeah, I struggle a little with meditation, really. I rigidly stick to it. I do my 30 minutes of meditation each and every day. But I must admit that even after 7 years now, I'm not an expert. I realize that some days I'm getting there, I'm getting calmer, and I come to a state where I think my brain's relaxing and perhaps healing is possible or something. But many days I can't. I think my brain is overactive. I always have these many thoughts, and it's just, I can't.
Yeah, I mean, I do know some people who like yoga instructors and things, and they can just do it without listening to any soundtrack. They just go, well, I just sit and meditate. But I still need to have some sort of guided meditation, even though some of them actually have quite long periods of silence. And so I'm listening to nothing. But, so how does that work when actually I can't sit here and just not, just be here? I don't know. But I don't know. So for me, I would hope, sometimes I can kind of get it where I'm doing it without it being guided. But I would hope by now I could do that. But I find it a lot easier to be listening to a guided mindfulness session. But there are so many available now, which is brilliant. So at least, yeah.
I listened to a guided meditation I made up myself because I read so many books about meditation that I thought I bring it all together with visualization and healing meditation and breathing meditation. Probably, even there I wanted too much and put it all in one tape. And so I listen to that every day, and it comes away.
And when did you start to see, or you were saying that it's difficult to really say what's caused changes, but did you see positive results, improvements in your condition after you've adopted OMS?
Well, yes, I can say that. I I had late relapses. I had one relapse in 2010 and the next in 2014. So then in the beginning of 2015, I had one more really bad relapse. My right arm went numb, and I was getting really afraid because that's a bad feeling, as you can imagine. And but then it got better, and I only have a left numb hand a bit, but it's usable, and so I'm very happy with that. But what was better then is the stomach, which was inflamed, and I have had almost no problems with that nowadays. And I had some eczema and hay fever, which is part of a overreacting immune system as well, and I could really see that subsiding. So I haven't had any problems with that anymore. So that's part of seeing how the body gets less inflamed. I think that's, for me, what's a sign.
Yeah, I think when you were saying that you'd carry on with the diet, even if they had a pill which cured MS, I think because there's so many other things, I think it's just healthy for our bodies. I think it's, and certainly my neurologist said this. He said, it's going to reduce your risk of heart disease, it will reduce your risk of cancer, of diabetes, of all these things. And so actually, I agree. I think it's just healthier to live, eating a whole food based diet is healthier.
Yeah, people kept telling me you're looking so very healthy. What are you doing? So something must have changed really, and it's a good feeling in the body. And my doctor, he says I've got the best cholesterol profile in his whole
of his whole patient. I get this all the time. I just had a load of tests, like sort of annual tests last week. And they're always saying this. They say, "Oh, you're really healthy." I'm like, apart from the obvious reason that I'm here, clearly I'm here because I have MS. They go, "Yeah, well, apart from that, you're really healthy." So, all my, blood pressure and all the tests and everything. So, so that's good anyway, because you don't want to have comorbidities. I mean, if we had diabetes and MS, that would obviously be more problematic. So as much as anything, I think it is healthier. And if they did cure MS, I agree, I'd carry on with much of the program. So you're involved in the OMS community, and you're the ambassador for the OMS Circle in Hamburg. So could you tell us a bit about OMS Circles and your OMS Circle?
Well, yes, I think it was in 2017 that the OMS Circle program was launched because OMS, the charity, wanted to sort of spread the word worldwide and sort of install a community where peer-to-peer support is possible. And when I read about that, it certainly hit me, and I thought, well, I have to be part of that, because I had visited a one-day seminar in Wokefield in 2016 and was really enchanted by the community I met there. And I was really sad because in Germany nothing was happening in regard to OMS, and I was feeling really lonely at the time because I hardly knew people with MS, and let alone people who followed OMS. And so I was craving to meet people who were on the same journey in a way, and I wanted to pay back somehow and help spread the word that OMS has to offer, and help people who want to be helped.
And how have you found the circle with COVID restrictions? Has that continued?
Yeah, we had meetings here in life before every 4 or 8 weeks, and when COVID started, obviously that wasn't possible anymore, and we changed to online meetings, which is partly a good thing because my circle is quite large. As I was the first ambassador in Germany, people from all over the country were sort of gathered in my circle in the beginning. Now we've got, I think, 10 circles in Germany, and some still remain in my circle because I like it, and get to another circle which is nearer as well. And so we can gather with people from many kilometers away online, which is fine, but it's not the same as meeting in person. I'm really looking forward to being able to host an offline meeting these days. Yeah,
we have just started where we are. We had one about a month ago. We had our first sort of actual face-to-face meeting, and it is really nice. I mean, it's nice talking to people, but actually there is something about physically, and everyone they brought so much food, it was ridiculous, because it was like everyone bring something, and then we'll have a lunch, and everyone, I think because it had been so long, thought, right, we're going to bring lots of food, and there was just a huge, and it was great because everything you could eat, and so there was, and they'd really gone to town, and it was like amazing food, so it was really nice to meet up. Anyway, you also conduct seminars about OMS principles in Germany to raise awareness about lifestyle changes for people with MS. So how is that, and why did you start doing that?
Well, as I said, I was in marketing once, and I'm probably not a shy person. So when I'm convinced of a cause, I naturally want to share that insight with others to give them the chance to benefit from the evidence and blueprint for good health that others have discovered. Isn't that the whole thing of human development and progress in a way? An idea spreading to change mindsets and realities and lives by interaction. That's sort of, I like this evidence-based, down-to-earth approach of OMS. And I like that it doesn't try to antagonize between natural medicine and sort of the academic medicine. And so I think this inclusive and relatively easy applicable approach that emphasizes the self-management abilities of every single person with MS is so valuable that I felt I have to do whatever is possible for me to reach as many people with this message as possible. And obviously people are coming to my circle, so I can inform them and help them as far as I can. But I sort of wanted to scale it a bit higher and reach more people who haven't heard of it. And so I was able to hold some seminars and webinars in the last years to inform the German community about this OMS program, which is not widely known.
And there's a German version of the OMS book, isn't there?
Yes, I think it appeared in 2019, or I'm not sure really, but it was quite late sort of, and then you could go with this book to a neurologist and say, have you read this? Please read it. It's important. So I tried that some days, yes.
And one of your guiding principles is the concept of flow. So this is completely new to me. So could you tell us about what flow is and what it means to you?
Well, yeah, it was new to me as well. During my last years, I visited a course of complete vocal technique, really, to sort of improve my singing abilities a bit. And we had a seminar within that about flow. And I wondered what it is. And we met with a great teacher, Rabbi Lahoud, who is really a singer and performer. And he's very deep in this flow concept and research. And to put it short, flow is sort of, you can say it's happiness, but you can also say it's a nerval status, which is between boredom and overburdening. So it's when you feel at ease, when you're doing something you like, when you forget time and sort of really are in the moment, not thinking, just doing what you do and being good at it. So that's a concept which also in a professional context, sometimes people like to talk about flow because they want their staff to be in flow as much as possible because they reach peak performance when they are. So when you don't feel overburdened or stressed out and you're not bored, you're in the perfect performing zone of your nervous system, really. And when I met this concept, it was about singers and performing on stage without getting sort of too nervous to sing or without getting stuck in your lyrics or something. But it so also applies to everyone, not only to singers, because when you get into this flow zone of your nervous system, healing is possible and social interaction is possible. And it's really, sort of, the basis is the polyvagal theory, which you can look up. It's like you've got the sympathicus, I don't know.
Sympathetic nervous system, yeah.
And the parasympathicus as its opposite. And the polyvagal theory has found another sort of part of the parasympathicus. It's like 3 parts, and only if the third part is effective, you are in flow and your system is in a good and balanced status. So what comes out for me is that I try to focus on things that bring me this sort of flow situation, that I'm feeling at ease, that I'm feeling the time flow away like nothing. And that's what happened when I sort of work with my art.
So I think most people with MS are aware that stress is not good, because I think we are physically sensitive to stress. I think most people realise that they're getting stressed, but boredom is the other thing. So if we're avoiding stress, but also we want to avoid boredom and we want to be in that middle zone. So
That's right. And I think I always struggled with meditation as well, because I easily get bored by that. So perhaps a different approach would be just sort of to meditate by doing something that really brings you in focus, that you enjoy so much that you are in the here and now without thinking about anything else. So that might be a sort of a meditation as well.
This has come up with mindfulness experts, and they say that's the difference between mindfulness and meditation. Meditation is actually meditating, but actually you can do so many things. You can go for a mindful walk. Mm-hmm. So you can go for a walk in the countryside, and that can be a completely mindful activity. You don't have to meditate if you find that it bores you, and then that's obviously you're not in the right flow state. But why not go for a walk? Why not go for a cycle ride? That these things can be done mindfully. Mm. So then you're still you can do everything. It can fit in with everything. So talking a bit about how you got to learn about flow, brought up the sort of singing side of it. So could you tell us a bit about your creative passions in singing and dancing and what you get involved with there?
Yeah, well, I always enjoyed singing, dancing, and painting. I couldn't decide which most really. And after sort of getting over the shock of the diagnosis and finding my new way with the OMS program and sort of caring for my health, I decided to sing and dance and paint as much as possible and try to start a second career, really, to do it seriously, sort of to go on stage and present a solo program with a pianist and try to write songs. And now I'm starting with a new band, and I have painted a lot last year because obviously going on stage in COVID times is not so really easy. I had my first show in 2019 and I had some bookings for 2020, and then it all stopped dead really. But I have found a new pianist, and the rehearsals with him were definitely a most welcome help against mental stress during the pandemic because we were able to meet and to perfect the program. And after the vaccination, I also started to go dancing again as much as possible. And I'm almost looking forward to my next MRI to see if all this flow has healed some of the lesions. But it's, I would be happy to see that. At least the MRI in 2020 was stable, so better than nothing.
Yeah. So Linda, thank you very much for being part of the Living Well with MS Coffee Break series and allowing the community to get to know you a bit better. But one last question before you go, and it's a tradition that we like to ask Coffee Break guests. If you could tap into your experience with MS generally or OMS specifically for a piece of wisdom, particularly for people who are new to the program or new to MS, to help them adopt the OMS program, what would that advice be?
I've got a big table in what do you call that? I've got many of these sort of codes on my mind, which I try to remember when I'm getting low. And one of them is, I read that online from some MSer, I don't know who it was, stop that silly grieving.
Okay, yeah.
That really hit me at the time because I was grieving a lot for my old life, and just to realize that grieving doesn't help at all. You just have to look forward and try to see what you can find in the future. That helped me a lot because it was so like a slap in the face, stop that silly grieving. But which I like as well as action is the antidote to despair. And I am really for that. Whenever I get a feeling of despair, I have to try something new, start something new. And I think new beginnings, new projects, joy in life means beginning always. That's a quote I like as well. So that would be my advice, just to get out of that stuck feeling when you feel like nothing in the future you want to see.
Okay, thank you very much for that, and thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Living Well with MS Coffee Break. Please check out this episode's show notes at overcomingms.org/podcast. You'll find all sorts of useful links and bonus information there. Do you have questions about this episode? Or do you or someone you know want to be featured in a future Coffee Break episode? Then email us at podcast@overcomingms.org. We'd love to hear from you. You can also subscribe to the show on your favourite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. Living Well with MS Coffee Break is kindly supported by a grant from the Happy Charitable Trust. If you'd like to support the Overcoming MS charity and help keep our podcast advertising free, you can donate online at overcomingms.org/donate. To learn more about Overcoming MS and its array of free content and programs, including webinars, recipes, exercise guides, OMS circles, our global network of community support groups, and more, please visit our website at overcomingms.org. While you're there, don't forget to register for our monthly e-newsletter so you can stay informed about the podcast and other news and updates from Overcoming MS. Thanks again for tuning in, and see you next time. The Living Well with MS family of podcasts is for private, non-commercial use and exists to educate and inspire our community of listeners. We do not offer medical advice. For medical advice, please contact your doctor or other licensed healthcare professional. Our guests are carefully selected, but all opinions they express are solely their own and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions of the Overcoming MS charity, its affiliates, or staff.